You'll all recall this that we made in our second week and how we put on 2 vanishing points and a single vanishing point. And last week we drew this chair. We put it on here and we made this simple box form, this very, very simple box form. And we also put our figure on here as well. We took him over to the wall and sized him 6 feet against the wall so we knew exactly where to place him so that he was 6 feet in the room. And when we did the ladies last week, we put their eyes on the eye level so they would appear a little shorter at about 5'8" or so. And he's 6 feet, or 5'6" to 5'8". So this is the first stage of our reading nook. We're going to do this very same thing. We're going to stop here. But last week, as you recall in class, we didn't stop there. We went on to turn the boxes into furniture. That comes next week. So all that's required for this week is just to get all of those boxes in order. Not on this grid. We won't be putting them on this grid. I've given you a new grid. One is for you to work on, and you can work right on top of this. Before we were working on tracing paper, but that's because we're reusing that handmade grid. This grid, we're not going to reuse it. You can draw right on top of it. Use your colored pencil so you can see your lines, because these lines are black, so you won't be able to see a pencil. You'll maybe need to use your colored pencils. And we do the very same thing. We're going to start to put our boxes for our reading nook on here from our floor plan. But before you do that, you're going to pick a design style. That's why I've given you this list. And as you can see, it's like going shopping. I chose mid-century modern design. So I've seen pictures of my mother in such settings when this was kind of like the 50s and 60s when she was very, very young. So I think there's something about it. And seeing my mom, you know, in similar clothing. She didn't smoke cigars, but there's something about it, I think, that's a little nostalgic for me. But when it's like the first thing in our reading nook that's going to catch everyone's attention and set the tone is our sofa. So you want to take your time after you might want to shop around a little bit. It does feel like shopping. Try looking at different styles. One that I wouldn't recommend, I probably will be too stodgy and too square, because you don't want to give me more boxes. You want to give me interesting furniture, is the minimalist one, or I'm not sure, probably the minimalist one is probably the one to avoid. The rest I think you can have some fun with, but that one may be a little bit too square. So this is a bit square, but it's rounded. It has some character. So looking for furniture with character. But all of my stuff came under the heading of mid-century modern design. And my figure as well, I was lucky to find her. She's terrific. You're looking for a fireplace? No, I was lucky to find a fireplace and my plush carpet all in the same picture. I had another piece of carpet picked out. It was a very muted color and design. But with my window treatment looking this busy, I thought it would clash. So just this thick plush carpet would be perfect. And my fireplace, we only have room for somewhat of a facade for our fireplace, but I loved the stone in the back and the glass in the front and the simple design, but it has character. It's curved. And I talked about my window treatment. My coffee table is deceptively simple as well. It has this little peekaboo part, which is great. And the legs are a lovely tapered shape. So that's going to be fun to draw. And my figure, everyone's going to choose their own figure this time. She fits with the decor in terms of her outfit. That's not necessary, but I think it actually works this time. And this, my pendant light fixture that hangs from the ceiling, is beautiful. It's some sort of brass. It's kind of an ochre sort of brown, gray-brown. It's metallic, so it's beautiful, but it's not shiny metallic. It has a patina. And then my shelving. Now my display elements, you might have more success looking up knickknacks. I had more success with that rather than display elements. So see what you can find. But I also found this little jig-jag for my shelves in my shelving unit, and lots of interesting things to put in there as well. I found these ceramic cats that were really quite the rage during the 50s and 60s, and they're beautiful. They're black with yellow. This is a tiger, and this is a cat. So they'll appear on my shelving unit as well. And we're going to start by working with a floor plan and an elevation. So back here is our window, where I'll put my window treatment. This is where I'll be putting my pendant light fixture. And my beautiful sofa will go here, and my fireplace will go here. And we have a bookcase over here that's built right inside the wall. We also have a gabled ceiling, so that will make things interesting as well. And this is our floor plan. This is the placement of our sofa, right center in the width of our little nook, and the fireplace facade. The light is in dotted lines because it's above 5 feet. Remember, a floor plan is everything hovering over everything that's below 5 feet, and the light is above. And here is the placement of our built-in bookcase as well. And I did some quick sketches of elevations of our left and right wall. So on the left wall, if you were to stand and face it, you would just see the bookcase built into that wall. There isn't anything else there. Doesn't mean to say that you couldn't put something else there, but that's all that's required at the moment. And on the other wall, there's just the fireplace. Now, elevations tell you width and height. They don't necessarily tell you where something is in the space unless there's some overlapping. Then you'll see it. But I didn't have any overlapping here. I wanted just to make it clear for the height and the width. And here is our elevation of our back wall, and we can see the gabled here. We can't here because this part of the ceiling is flat as it extends. You'll find the list of things to find here in your document, and it gives you a list here right at the bottom: your sofa, coffee table, light fixture, window treatment, area carpet, display elements, remember knickknacks, that might be better, fireplace, and chosen figure. And every time you look for something, include your category beforehand. So if I'm looking for shabby chic knickknacks or display elements, so put that in front of whatever you're looking for. When we get to working with our floor plan and elevation, we'll have a diagram that looks like this. So over here we have our built-in shelves, we have our gabled ceiling, and our light fixture hangs down. We have our big sofa and the fireplace against this wall. So I would recommend that you use your colored pencils, but you have to go back and put an ink line around everything when you're done. Otherwise we won't see it against the aggressive lines of the grid. And I've colored all the planes that are similar in the same color. So all my tops and my undersides are yellow, and my fronts are this bluey green, and my side planes are purple. So that when we take this to render it and think about where our shadows fall and how you're going to render the different planes, the light planes, the middle value planes, and the shadows, then it's going to be very helpful in sorting that out. So that's the next step, and you might want to start just with your lines and then fill in your bit with your color pencil later. So don't forget, when you're working with your furniture that's not against the wall, you have to walk it to the wall and measure up the wall and then bring that measurement across. But remember, you have to have your verticals up. If they're not up, you're bringing a line across to nowhere. So don't forget your verticals. So this time, we're going to start by mapping things out on the floor first, and then raising them up and then measuring. So that would be the best way to do it. It would be easiest to map things out here, because every square on here is the same as every square on here. They measure the same. Although some appear smaller, they're all a foot by a foot, and these are all feet. So we've got 12 feet by 5 feet, whereas on our handmade grid we only had 9 feet across, I believe. So this is an improvement in terms of how much space we have. As I mentioned before, we have everything that you're looking for your photo montage listed here, and that's your first deliverable, is that file. And you can turn it horizontally or vertically, whatever works best for your items. And mine are in black and white. I didn't print it out in color, but they are in color. Watch out for that, because it may be that the color is what you're seeing and not the interesting shape of the furniture. So look for interesting shapes first. The color really doesn't matter to us because we're going to render it in grays. Okay, I'll just talk a little bit about why I chose to put what where. The sofa, our sofa, is going to, of course, be the focus of our drawing. It's right smack in the center of a one-point perspective, and so is our window treatment. So those two I wanted to be fairly close to the top. Then it was a matter of just fitting everything neatly around it. Our figure is also going to create atmosphere. So I went for the pieces that were going to create atmosphere for me in terms of placement and size. So these are my 3 major items. And then I surrounded them with the other little elements that also add to the atmosphere, but aren't as focal or featured as these pieces. To summarize, you're going to have your finished box form drawing, but don't forget you're also going to be placing your figure within this as well. So that's all part of it. Just one box form drawing with figure inside. And don't forget the addition of our coffee table. And then this one is all one piece. So those 2 items are what you'll be photographing and putting in the Dropbox this week.